Most people never learn how to disarm a toxic thought, which I think is super important because while our thoughts are not facts, they're not real, we lie to ourselves constantly. When they are emotionally charged, we do believe them and that starts to shape our reality. So I'm going to show you 3 simple ways to master your thoughts. We'll start with flip or thought flipping. Let's start with a thought we've all had before. I am a failure. Okay? So again, this is a simple one. All you have to do is take the inverse of the thought. I am not a failure. Gang, all of these are rooted in the idea that you are someone that you are responsible for taking care of. That is how these will work, adopting that philosophy. If you have a thought that you would never dare say to another person, let that serve as a massive red flag that you should not be having that thought about yourself. I would not go up to another person and say you are a failure. So if I'm ever thinking I am a failure, I'm thinking, why am I treating myself worse than I would anybody else? Something to keep in mind. These will all be much more effective if you adopt that philosophy. So let's look at reframe, which is also simple, but it requires a little creativity. So let's do, again, another thought I think we've all had at one point or another. I suck at my job. Okay? So reframing is basically just like, how can I take this and look at this in a more optimistic light? I think a good example for this one here would be, let's look at it this way. This is true of anything. The faster I fail, the faster I learn. And think about this from your own personal experience, right? Like in any endeavor in which you sucked, was that not an expedited learning process? So the bottom line is, you could look at these and you can go, both of these are equally true, but one is going to serve me and one is going to restrain me. So it's ultimately a process of recognizing a thought that isn't serving you and flipping it or reframing it to serve you better. Let's look at dissect. I apologize for my handwriting. If people really knew me, they wouldn't like me. So dissecting is really trying to highlight each individual part of the thought. And by the way, I should have said this from the jump, but when you really have a toxic thought, like a thought that is really weighing on you, you absolutely have to write it down. That is one of the many benefits of journaling, but it makes each one of these 3 processes so much easier. It will be easier if it's written. That said, if people really knew me, they wouldn't like me. So you can take different parts of this, like you could flip it. If people really knew me, they would like me, right? Like we could flip it. We could take the inverse. That's one thing we could do. Or we could look at, one section of it. Like really knew me. Let's look at that chunk. What would it mean for someone to really know you? Who is someone in your life that really knows you? Do you have anyone in your life that really knows you? If the answer is no, then this thought is based on 0 data, right? If you feel like there's not a single person on the planet who really knows me, well, guess what? What are you basing this thought on? Absolutely nothing. Maybe the reason you feel this way is because you've never really given someone the chance to know you. Okay? Let's look at this section. People. Who are people? Who is people? What do you mean by people? When I've had this thought, I'm like, who am I thinking about? Why do I think that about them? Are you using this sentence to really reflect what you think people are? Do you think people are bad? Do you think people are against you? Who are people? What is people? Think about that. Let's look at this part. Like me. Is this an endeavor that you care about? Do you care about being liked? I mean, we all do. Let's not lie. But is this an endeavor that you want to occupy a lot of your time and energy? Is this an endeavor that you want to occupy a lot of your emotions, whether or not you're liked? You know, looking at a thought like this, dissecting it, looking at each chunk, finding out what it says about you, that's the real value in all of this. Each one of these things isn't aimed at making you feel better, it's aimed at making you better understand yourself. And I promise once you understand yourself better, you will love yourself better because the real you is deserving of love.